One of the great football minds in the country, Joe Pendry. His resume, it's quite frankly just too long for me to rattle off everything. Longtime NFL assistant coach, offensive coordinator, head coach of the Pittsburgh Maulers in the USFL. Of course, you know him around here mainly as offensive line coach and assistant head coach at the University of Alabama for Nick Saban. Was semi-retired, living the good life, and decided to get back into football as the general manager of the Birmingham Iron in the AFF. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good, Gary. How you doing this morning? Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, sir. Same to you and your wife. A pleasure to have you on. Listen, as I said, you were still involved in football, consulting with Alabama and visiting with Nick Saban, but living a pretty good life. What drew you back in? What led to the decision to take on this role as GM of the Birmingham Iron? What did you find so attractive about this position in this league?
Well, the fact that people who are involved in it, with Bill Polian, especially who I worked with when I was with the Carolina Panthers, and the fact that it gives a lot of players an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's more jobs. There are a lot of players out there who have been in the NFL for one reason or another. They didn't make it. So it gives them an opportunity to continue doing what they love doing. And if they go to the NFL, Gary, that's what we're for. If they just finish their career and feel self-satisfied because they got to play some more, we're all for that also. And that's the reason I got involved, I love the sport, been in it my whole life, and be able to help some other people.
Yeah, I've been saying the same thing. I love this league because I think it gets it. The concept is awesome. As you said, it's seen somewhat as a developmental league, not trying to compete with the NFL, but in essence has the NFL's blessing. The timing's terrific. You crank it up right after the Super Bowl 1 week. You play 10 straight weeks. You have a round of playoffs. Then you have your championship game. You're done in 12 weeks. Folks are still, getting in the boats for their summer, and they're able to get a break. Good timing, good plan, good concept. And after 1 week, I loved what I saw on the field. I thought the football was high quality. Obviously, Birmingham got off to a great start. But your takeaway, I know it's just 1 week, but television ratings on Saturday night on CBS for the AAF, Orlando versus Atlanta, beat the NBA on ABC. You had over 17,000 in the stands there at Legion Field on Sunday. And people are excited about this league. It looks like it's taking off. And because of how well thought out it is, and you mentioned Bill Polian and others that are involved, this league has a chance, I think, to gain some traction. Obviously, you agree, or you wouldn't have taken on the position.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was really pleased with the presentation of all the games that I had a chance to see, as well as ours, and how the players performed. I mean, it was a professional football. There were not a lot of mistakes. There were not a lot of sloppy play. The officiating, I thought, was done well. Instant replay was done well. I thought it was a good presentation. And Gary, I think we'll get better and better with the presentation and with the players on the field during the next 9 weeks.
I do too, and I'm looking forward to watching it unfold. You mentioned for the players, it's an opportunity. For some, they see it as an opportunity to continue to play the game while trying to get back to the NFL. And for others, it may be just a chance to extend their football careers and do it in a way that, they're making a pretty good living. I mean, you look at the salaries, it's structured well, but these are opportunities for guys who otherwise may have seen their football dreams come to an end, and they get excited. For coaches, it's an opportunity. You look at your head coach, Tim Lewis, a chance to be a head coach. I know he probably aspires to get back to the NFL someday, but it really is about extending dreams for some, and for others, a doorway to get to the National Football League.
No doubt, Gary. I just a bunch of the guys that we have from Alabama, from Auburn, from Mississippi State, I know from my years in the NFL that some of these guys have the opportunity to play in the NFL. They just were on a team where they had an injury in training camp and couldn't learn the offense or defense quickly enough, or there was 2 or 3 guys drafted at their position. But there are several guys in this, our team as well as other teams, who you will see playing in the fall. they'll be on other teams. And that's what we want to do. We'll take a guy, he plays for us for 10 games, and the NFL signs him. We'll say, hey, thank you very much for what you've done for us, and best of luck in the NFL.
The regionalization of these franchises certainly helps the fan bases be drawn to them. You got 10 former Alabama players. You got 5 former Auburn players. You've got some players from other state colleges and universities. So you got a built-in following. That's another great aspect of this league. And for the Birmingham team, clearly Trent Richardson is a star. His name recognition is so high in this state. He's beloved by Bama fans. We know his story, number 3 overall draft pick in 2012. The NFL aspect of his career didn't go the way that he wanted, but he's getting this second chance. I thought he looked like he was in great shape on Saturday. He scored a couple of touchdowns there for you, and you could see the fans just thrilled to see him back out on the football field, and that's great for him and great for the Birmingham Iron.
You're exactly right. Of course, I know Trent. I saw him run that 46-yard touchdown against Texas in 2009. And I saw him practice, and I know what it means to him. And what happened during the NFL time is gone. So what we're interested in is giving him the opportunity. If he wants to try to go back to the NFL, this is an avenue for him. If he just wants to finish and feel good about himself, how good fulfill his dream of being a good player, that's what I want for him. But I'm happy that he's getting this opportunity.
Yeah, I am too, and think he's going to make the most of it. So far, so good. Let's talk about your head coach, Tim Lewis, because there are some head coaches in this league that are a lot more high profile than Tim Lewis, but boy, what an outstanding football coach he's been. First of all, he was a great player, and I think some people remember the Monday Night Football game when he played for the Packers, when he suffered that neck injury against the Bears in 1986, which ended his playing career. He pretty much transitioned right into coaching, and he's been around the block, and he has coached at every level, and now to get this opportunity as a head coach, you can tell he's appreciative of it, and he's really an accomplished football coach. And tell me about the decision to hire him, how that came about.
Well, Tim, the background here, first of all, Tim was a freshman at Pitt when I was coaching there in 1979, I think. So I've known Tim since he was a freshman in college. And you're exactly right. He was a good player, unfortunate injury, and very intelligent, very organized, very driven, very passionate about it, good teacher. And he wanted the opportunity to be the head coach, and the Alliance had recognized him as one of the potential candidates. And when he was interviewed, and he fulfilled all the expectations that we want as a head coach in the Alliance. And I've really been impressed with the job he's done around here with our coaches, hired a nice staff. The players respond to him. He's demanding on them, but he's open and communicates very well with them. So I'm excited about him and his future, and want him to reach all his goals.
Joe Pendry with us this morning on the Gary Harris Show on the Bud Light Hotline, general manager of the Birmingham Iron of the Alliance of American Football, longtime football coach. I want to ask you about your quarterback. Of course, Blake Sims is on the roster, and Bama fans and football fans in this state excited about that. But your starter, Luis Perez, interesting story. Didn't play high school football. Wound up, I think, going to community college, then at Texas A&M Commerce, where he won the Harlan Hill Award, named after the former University of North Alabama great, the Division II Heisman. And he winds up in Birmingham on your roster. Charismatic kid, watching him in interviews, can really sling it, a good athlete. Give me a little insight into Luis Perez and the potential that you think he's got for your football team this year.
I think you hit it, Gary, is his potential. We knew about him he was with the Los Angeles Rams in their training camp and had a chance to compete. So some of the people out there knew him, and then we had a quarterback camp and had a chance to work him out, watch him on video. He's a smart young guy. He needs experience. He needs playing. You hit it exactly right. He didn't play in high school. Decided he wanted to play. Went to a community or junior college and played, worked his way up to be a player, and then goes West Texas Commerce and gets into an offense where he can throw the ball, threw for over 70% and 5,000 yards his senior year. So he's an accurate guy. He needs to play. Yeah, I'm anxious to see him each week improve and get into situations he's never been in. But he's got the potential. I was impressed, Gary, with the poise he played with. For never having played in a pro football game and going out and playing with the poise that he did, I was as much impressed with that as I was his accuracy.
Absolutely, I was too. Your football team, now, again, none of these teams had played a game until last week, but based on the training camps, the workouts, what I had read about Birmingham, your team was not picked to be one of the top teams in this league, and yet you go out and in your first game you shut out the Memphis Express 26-0. I know you were excited and confident in your football team's chances, and happy about the win. But did you envision that your team would hold Memphis to a little over 200 yards total offense, you dominate the game, and win it 26-0?
Well, really, we had no idea. We had practiced. We felt good that we had solid players, but I don't know how anybody predicted which team would do what.
Right.
Because nobody knew anything. It's not like you had a barrel full of information on each team. So, but our team went out and played like we had practice. We felt good that we could be a solid football team. How we were going to perform on Sunday, we really didn't know, and I'm sure Memphis didn't know, none of the other teams. But we went out and performed well and got a good win. Now we got something to build on and take the next step.
The response, and I know it's going to only get better because I think people, like I said, were really impressed with what they saw in game one. But to have over 17,000 come out, and I'm really impressed with what they've done with Legion Field. I mean, I know eventually that new stadium's coming to Birmingham, but they've done everything they can to make Birmingham's Legion Field fan-friendly. It looked good on television, Coach, I'll tell you that. The turf looked good. The way they've configured the stadium looked good. I wasn't there, but it really seemed like it was a nice home field atmosphere and home field advantage for you on Sunday afternoon.
Oh, yeah, it definitely was. I really commend the mayor and his council here and the city of Birmingham and the business leaders. They have really, Gary, done a great job of welcoming us, and they want this to be successful. You know, there have been a lot of leagues here and teams in Birmingham down through the years, but they didn't make it. It wasn't because of the city. It was because of the mismanagement or something, ownership. But now Birmingham, they've done a great job. And this, you're exactly right. Legion Field was well presented.
Absolutely. And another thing I like with no college football is playing games on Saturday and Sunday. I think that's awesome. You played Sunday last week. You got Salt Lake City coming in this Saturday at 1 o'clock, and back-to-back home games to start the season. And tell me about this Salt Lake team, and what do you expect from them?
Well, they had a tough opener in Arizona, but they were in the game. They are a big physical team. They've got their offensive and defensive linemen. I mean, they are big, physical. They've got a young quarterback that's going to play for them, and Linehan kid. His dad was Scott Linehan, who's coached forever in the league. I've known. The kid grew up in this style of offense they're going to run. They are a big physical team, and we better be ready to crank it up because that's the kind of game it's going to be. They scored points. They moved the ball. They had a few unfortunate drops here and there that kept them from getting the ball in the end zone more than they did. But it'll be a physical game, and we'll have to be loaded up to compete and get this one.
Playing on Saturdays and Sundays, obviously that's something the league wanted to do. I said I'm a big fan of it. Do you think the reception from the fans for a Saturday game is going to be just as highly anticipated as it was this past Sunday?
I think so. I think it will be, and we get good weather. I mean, the come out here to this environment and the excitement that we had for this past Sunday, and in this stadium, and gets a chance to see pro football with local talent, guys that you know, names that you know, whether they're Troy, South Alabama, UAB, wherever they're from, names that you know, and support football, pro football in Birmingham.
Lastly, Coach, as I said, I mean, you didn't have to take this job on. I mean, you've worked a long time. It's something you wanted to do. How much fun has it been joining this organization from the ground up, being on the ground floor of this league, and putting this football team together? What kind of challenge has it been, and how much have you enjoyed it?
Oh, I've really enjoyed it. I've had to rely on a lot of people that I've known through the NFL and college football for recommendations on players and finding all the players. And I was fortunate the fact that most of the guys in the Southeastern Conference I kind of knew about, but it's been I've really enjoyed it, Gary. And to me, it's not work because it's all I've ever done. I told people I've been very fortunate. I've never worked a day in my life because I've been involved in football these years. So it's been a great opportunity and help these guys achieve their dreams. So it's been I've really enjoyed it.
Well, it's great to have you there, still involved in the game. And as I said, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this league. I'm a fan of this team, and I think it's only going to get better. All right, I told you a fib. I said that was going to be the last thing. I do want to ask you about Alabama. You were here with Nick Saban to get this thing started. I know you had a long relationship with him and expected success. And this is a tough question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I know you're when you got here, the job was just to get this program going in the right direction and try to build it into a good, solid program. So you probably didn't even think about this. But I know you had an inkling that this was going to be a very successful regime. Could you ever have imagined that any coach, at any program, could do what Alabama has done over these last 12 years under Nick Saban? Did it ever even pop into your head? Did you ever say to yourself, I'm going to be on the ground floor of a dynasty here with this guy?
No, not one time, Gary, because you go to work every day, you grind. I'm taking this day, and I'm going to make this day the best that I can make it. Now, I did know Nick. I didn't know how driven, how passionate, how intelligent, how hard a worker, how organized he was. But those other things, if you start looking too far in the future, you're going to fall off the edge.
That's right.
You just take every step. And to be honest with you, that's the way I saw it. And I'm glad it happened, but I never thought that far in the future.
Well, it's been unbelievable. You know him well, and he has said for the record that for whatever reason, it's sometimes easier to get a football team to respond coming off a failure than off a success. Based on what happened in that national championship game, it's going to be a pretty tough spring at the University of Alabama. Wouldn't you expect it to be challenging for these players?
Yeah, he's driven now. He is driven.
He'll get their attention. Well, Coach, it's been a pleasure. Folks, listen now. It's 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Salt Lake comes into Birmingham. Alliance of American Football. Get your tickets. The weather's supposed to be fine. What rain we're going to get this weekend isn't expected to be well after the time of this game. It's going to be fairly warm, so it's going to be a great afternoon to watch football. Coach Pendry and the staff there would love to see you come out, and man, it's going to be fun. Also, I think it's on TNT television-wise, right, Coach?
Yes, it is, and you're exactly right. Get all those people out here. We'd love to see you out here on Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Let's get 25.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, let's get 25,000 folks in there. Thank you a lot, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.